Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on EB-2 NIW. I'm Amir Ismail, and I've been associated with the immigration and citizenship consulting industry for the past 33 years. Today, we will demystify one of the most powerful pathways to U.S. permanent residency, the National Interest Waiver. We will discover how to bypass traditional employer sponsorship requirements and self-petition for your green card, the three crucial prongs of a successful NIW application and how to nail each one, real-world examples of successful NIW cases across diverse fields from STEM to arts and humanities. We will provide expert insights on building compelling evidence for your case through publications, patents, awards, and recommendations. And we will also provide strategic approaches to handling requests for evidence and common pitfalls to avoid. Whether you are a researcher, entrepreneur, healthcare professional, artist, or innovator, this session will equip you with actionable insights to evaluate if the EB-2 NIW is right for you. All right, so we are diving deep today into the EB-2 National Interest Waiver, or NIW for short. Clearly, you're interested in this unique route to a green card, and I get it, especially how it lets skilled professionals like yourself bypass the usual job of a requirement. It's fascinating, isn't it? It really flips the script on the whole idea of an employment-based green card. Instead of needing an employer to sponsor you, you're basically saying, hey, U.S. government, my work is so vital to the nation, you should waive the usual rules for me. It's like the government is saying, you're so brilliant, we want you here. Don't worry about who's hiding. But it's not quite that simple. You need to prove substantial national importance. It's a pretty high bar to clear. But that high standard is kind of what makes it so appealing. It attracts a specific type of professionals, someone who's not afraid of a challenge. More than that, we are talking about entrepreneurs, researchers, even artists, people whose work might not fit neatly into the usual employer-sponsored boxes. So it's not just for like Silicon Valley tech geniuses. While the NIW is popular with STEM folks, it can apply to a surprisingly wide range of fields. So educators, healthcare pros, artists, and even more. Think about an educator who is revolutionizing teaching methods for healthcare workers, tackling those huge rural health disparities, or maybe an artist preserving some crucial part of our cultural heritage. The key is showing how your work is going to significantly benefit the United States. That's the core of it. But how do you actually convince the USCIS you're worthy of this special treatment? Let's get into the nuts and bolts now. There is an intimidating sounding three-prong test. It's the heart of it. The USCIS uses this thing called the matter of Denasar framework. But it's not that bad, really. Basically, it's got these three prongs. Think of them as tests, each building on the last, and they really paint a complete picture of what you bring to the table. So let me break it down for you. What's the first test you got to pass? So prong one is all about substantial merit and national importance. What does that mean? It means you're not just good, at what you do, you're exceptional. And more importantly, your work has to have a real impact aligning with what the US is trying to achieve as a nation. So, like solving big picture issues. Think about public health, climate change, boosting the economy, things where the US really needs to see progress. Let's take an example of a researcher working to reduce healthcare disparities in rural communities. Imagine him presenting data that shows his research led to, say, lower mortality rates in those undeserved areas or made telehealth services way more accessible. So you're hitting both points there. It's high impact work. And it lines up with those federal goals to make healthcare better for everyone. You're not just saying, I'm doing good work. You're saying, my work directly helps America achieve its goals. So that's prong one down. On to prong two. This is where a lot of people stumble. It's called well positioned to advance the proposed endeavor. It sounds pretty straightforward, but it's where you prove you're not all talk, right? You have the actual skills, the experience, the track record to turn your big idea into reality. So you can't just say, I'm going to cure. You have to have something to back it up. Think past achievements, maybe publications, endorsements from big wigs in your field, and stuff that makes your claims believable. Or consider a software engineer who developed AI projects that made supply chains more efficient. So it's not just about coding skills. You could point to projects that optimized delivery routes and reduce waste stuff that has a real impact on businesses. Maybe you even have letters from companies saying, hey, this person's AI helped us deliver life saving medical supplies way faster, something like that. It paints this picture of someone who can actually deliver on their promises, not just talk a big game. So it's not enough to have a great idea. You got to be the person who can make it happen. And then we get to the final hurdle, prong three, the national interest waiver itself. It's like arguing about why you should be allowed to skip the line. You're saying it's in America's best interest to waive those usual job offer requirements specifically for you because your work is that important. Like any delay would actually hurt the US. So maybe a STEM whiz on the verge of some huge breakthrough in cancer treatment, forcing them through the usual process could delay those life-saving discoveries. It's about making a strategic case why your work deserves the express lane. So framing your work within that larger national context. But let's be real. Convincing USCIS all boils down to the proof of the evidence, the strong evidence. Strong documentation is make or break. It's not why you say your work is. Oh, it's the cold hard proof you can provide. Publications, patents, awards, that kind of thing. All of that and more. Anything that backs up your claims and shows just how important your work is beyond just your own words. Sounds like building a legal case. You need that undeniable evidence to win. It's like you're saying, here's the proof. You can't argue with this. So let's break it down, some of these key evidence categories. Let's start with publications, which are obviously crucial for researchers and academics. The more you publish, the more seriously they'll take you. But it's a little more nuanced than that. Simply listing every paper you have ever written isn't that effective. Case the quality and relevance of your work. It's about showing whether other researchers are building on your findings, using your work to make real progress. You are demonstrating how your research is shaping your field, influencing policy, even impacting the real world. So you're not just saying, look, how much I've published, but rather look at the impact my research has had. Now, citations themselves are another interesting category, but how do you prove those citations actually reflect the influence of your work specifically? You go deeper. Don't just state a number. Explain what those citations represent. Are other researchers using your work to advance their own studies? Are companies building on your findings? Are you shaping the direction of your field? So, take an example of someone working on AI driven diagnostics. If your work is being cited in top medical journals, it suggests your research is genuinely pushing the boundaries of healthcare technology. It's more than just dropping, it's about showcasing real world applications. Now, what about patents? Those are a big deal for inventors and entrepreneurs. Patents are a great indicator of innovation, the, but I need to stress that it's not enough to just have the patent. The key is demonstrating its real world application and benefit. For example, a patented water purification system, if that system is actually being implemented in, say, rural communities that lack access to clean water, then you've got a strong case. Imagine showcasing data on improved water quality in those areas, maybe even testimonials from people whose lives are directly impacted. You're showing that your invention isn't just a theoretical concept, it's solving a real world problem. And that directly strengthens the national importance argument because you're showing a tangible benefit. It's about connecting those dots and highlighting the real world impact. So we've got publication, citation, patents, all painting this picture of someone whose work matters. Now, let's talk about awards and professional recognition. Those are important too, but they need to be positioned strategically. Think of them as seals of approval from your field. Think about someone winning an award for, say, developing super efficient manufacturing technologies. But you wouldn't just list the award, you'd connect it to the bigger picture. So you might explain how that technology led to reduced energy consumption in factories, fewer carbon emissions, even job creation in a struggling region, something like that. You're showing how your expertise translates into a national benefit. Experts agree I'm great and is doing good for America, something like that. Now, one category that might seem less obvious is membership in prestigious professional organizations. So, how do those fit into the picture? Think about it. These organizations, especially the ones with tough selection criteria, represent a certain level of achievement and recognition by your peers, like being part of a super exclusive club only for the best of the best. It's not a fleshy piece of evidence, but it adds weight to your application uh, by showing that your that other experts in your field acknowledge your expertise. So now let's talk about profession specific consideration. It's the way you showcase your impact, and it can be quite different depending on your field of expertise. So if you're still with me until now, you'll notice we have been talking about the evidence you need, and it's clear that this isn't a wing it kind of application. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. It requires meticulous preparation, you know, making sure everything is clear, organized, and above all, compelling. You can't just throw a stack of papers at USCIS and hope for the best, can you? Definitely not. Remember, those officers are reviewing tons of applications, so you got to make their lives easier, right? Guide them through your story, make it easy to follow, and always connect your work back to those national interests. That's the core of the whole thing. So make it obvious. Now we are starting to talk about how different professions need to highlight their achievements in different ways. And it's fascinating how the same principle, national importance, can look so different depending on what you do. So, what works for a scientist might not work for an artist. Let's look at some examples. For researchers and academics, quantifiable achievements are the key. Numbers matter, publications, citation, that sort of thing. But it's more than just listing titles, it's about showing the impact of those publications. Think about it. How often is your work cited by other researchers? Are you shaping the direction of your field? So it's about demonstrating how your research is being used in real world. And you always tie it back to national interest. Are you working on a cure for a major disease? Contributing to US technological leadership, that kind of thing. Making those connections is key. Now, what about those in the arts and humanities? Their work isn't so easily measured and it's trickier but not impossible. Here, the focus shifts to demonstrating the cultural or societal impact of your work. So instead of scientific data, a musician might highlight performances at prestigious venues or rave reviews from respected critics. Or they might emphasize how their music program is bringing music education to undeserved communities or how their compositions are exploring important social themes. It's about showcasing how their art is enriching American culture and contributing to important conversations. Now, medical professionals share same and some similarities with science, but the emphasis is even stronger on patient outcomes, public health, that sort of things. It's not just about advancing knowledge; it's about improving people's life in a very real way. Have you or have your innovations led to new treatments or therapies? Have you improved the quality of care or access to healthcare? So it's all about those tangible benefits for patients and for the healthcare system as a whole. And then we have advanced engineering, where the focus is on innovation and real world application. So you've got to show how your innovations are making a difference, solving problems, improving lives. Have you developed some groundbreaking technology that addresses a major challenge facing the US? Have you designed a system that improves infrastructure, transportation, energy efficiency? It's about showing how your engineering skills are translating into tangible benefits that make life better for Americans and contribute to our progress as a nation. And whenever possible, quantify those benefits. Have your innovations created jobs, reduce cost, improve safety? So, regardless of your profession, you got to tailor your evidence to show your work fits the spirit of the NIW. It's about understanding what matters most in your field and presenting a case that really resonates with the USCIS. Now, let's shift gears for a bit and talk about something that can be a bit stressful for applicants: request for further evidence or RFE. Just the name sounds intimidating. It can definitely be a nerve wracking, um, but it's important to remember it's not a denial. It just means USCIS needs more information before they can make a decision on your petition. Let's talk about common reasons for these RFEs, like insufficient documentation, or maybe those connections to national interests aren't clear enough. A lot of it comes down to not being specific enough in the initial application. That's why it's so important to be super clear and thorough from the get-go. Leave no room for interpretation, you know. So connect the dots for them. Don't just assume they'll understand the importance of your work. So how do you approach an RFE strategically? Let me break it down for you. The first step seems pretty obvious. Read the notice carefully, figure out what they are asking for. Sometimes it's straightforward, like a missing document. Other times, they might be questioning the national importance of your work, or maybe they need more evidence to prove your exceptional ability. So understand the heart of the RFE. Then you can tailor your response. Organize your response, strengthen your evidence, and really clarify that national importance piece if that's what they are asking for or questioning. It's like getting a second chance to make your case. You want to address each point at the doc methodically, provide any missing doc, and make sure your response is complete and professional. You need to, craft a strong response. Like, be specific, provide translations if needed, keep it professional, and make it it's well organized. Remember, you are essentially making your case all over again. So this is your chance to address their concerns and prove you deserve that waiver. So I remember a client who received an RFE questioning the national importance of his work in renewable energy technology. Uh, Even if something seems obviously beneficial, you can't assume the USCIS will automatically see it that way. So for this client, we suggested providing data on how the applicant's innovations actually increase the use of renewable energy and how this work help achieve specific energy goals. You've got to spell it out for them, show them those connections in a concrete way. So RFEs aren't fun, but they're not the end of the world. It's a chance to regroup and really nail those arguments home. And that's another reason why having a good immigration expert is so valuable. They can help you craft a killer response that addresses all the US CIS concerns. So finally, there's a broader recognition now that professionals from all sorts of fields can contribute to the US, not just those in STEM. So artists, entrepreneurs, healthcare workers, they're all valuable. It's about recognizing that talent comes in many forms, and we need all of it to thrive. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this podcast today, and I'm sure you have learned a ton about the EP2 NIW. So if you're considering this pathway, remember this process isn't a walk in the park. It takes dedication, meticulous preparation, and a clear understanding of the requirements. But if you have the passion, the drive, and the talent, it can be incredibly rewarding. So to our listeners out there, if you are considering the EB2 NIW, don't be intimidated by their capacity. Do your research, get expert advice, and believe in yourself. This pathway is designed for exceptional individuals who have something special to offer the US. So go for it. Um, and on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our session today. We've explored the ins and outs of this unique pathway to US residency. I hope you found it informative and empowering. We had a great time diving deep with you, and we wish you the best of luck on your immigration journey. Remember, the pursuit of your dreams is worth the effort. So go out there and make your mark on the world. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment and send me a direct message, and I'll be happy to respond. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, this is Amir Ismail signing off from Toronto, Canada.